In order to create its tales of suspense and horror, the Western horror tradition draws on a standard body of folklore that has been standardized by Western society and pop culture. Jewish mythology, however, offers fresh perspectives on the paranormal and is a rich source of folklore full of the strange and supernatural that isn't as well known or understood. In today's video, we'll learn about one such creature called the Dybbuk. This creature, Dybbuk, has its roots in Jewish mythology, tradition, and folklore. It is notably thought that descriptions of its existence first appear in works from the 16th century. The biggest threat comes from demons who cling to our souls. A Dybbuk is a clinging monster. In Hebrew, the word Dybbuk means cling or attachment. Therefore, theoretically, Dybbuk can apply to any supernatural being that latches onto a person, whether it be of demonic nature or something that was once alive. Because it has unfinished business on earth, the restless soul often attaches itself to a human host in Dybbuk stories. In the recent horror movie, The Possession, a young girl purchases a mysterious box at a yard sale and later becomes possessed by a Dybbuk demon. The movie was designed to be loosely based on a true narrative of a box sold on eBay, which was said to contain an evil spirit. Yet both The Possession and the book The Dybbuk Box drastically misrepresent the true mythology of the Dybbuk. A Dybbuk is actually a ghost that lives on after death and uses human bodies for evil purposes. According to the myths, either a malevolent spirit seeking to harm an innocent person or a more neutral spirit seeking to punish a bad person for their sins is at work. In either case, the key characteristic of a Dybbuk is that they seek to hurt their host. There is general disagreement among people. Some say it is a demon. In contrast, others simply assume it is the spirit of a deceased person who is trying to escape the justice of their punishment in the afterlife. They are not demonic, as depicted in The Possession, and there is no historical evidence that Dybbuks are tied to places or things as much as to individuals. Jewish mythology is full of stories about Dybbuks, each with its unique interpretation of what makes a Dybbuk tick. As a result, there are differences in the details of what a Dybbuk is and how it is made. One of Dybbuk's most unsettling characteristics is perhaps how it looks. The Dybbuk resembles a human very closely, unlike many evil spirits that are invisible or assume the shape of some horrifying beast. In reality, it often resembles someone well known to the community it invades, such as a respected community leader, a neighbor or cousin of the victim, a close friend, or even a former lover. They frequently display intense and permanent rage, despair, or deep, longing loneliness. The easiest way to describe Dybbuk's behavior is negative. Regardless of where on the emotional spectrum it falls, this always has negative feelings, motivations, and behaviors. If it is joyful, it is either because it avoided the judgment of the afterlife or because of the suffering it spared its victim. If it is sad, it will constantly go back on and replay the sights it experienced in life. If it is angry, it either hasn't accepted the wrongs done to it or thinks it won't face retribution in the next life. If it is terrified, it worries that when its divine pursuers manage to catch up to it, they will cast it out and send it to the punishment from another realm that it awaits. The Dybbuk is not a creature that looks for companionship, love, or to establish harmony or happiness. It has no regard for justice, truth, or honesty. It merely wants to hang on to whatever host it can for as long as possible to continue living a life since it passed. No ounce of pity crosses its mind, even as the victim spirals into despair, depression, madness, and often death. Even though not all Dybbuks are malevolent against those around them, many are merely terrified and appalled by their supernatural state. Many have been reported to present a great risk to their host. They might range from being timid and cunning to being brutal and sadistic. Before the development of modern medicine, it was thought that some mental diseases were brought on by demonic entities possessing the body of the sufferer. The unlucky victim of the Dybbuk was typically a female. In addition to being sexual, the depiction of a Dybbuk, typically a male, piercing her body serves as an example of the idea of opposites. One human body contains male and female, alive and dead, pure and unclean. It is crucial to exorcise a Dybbuk and drive the evil spirits from a pure soul in order to save the individual who has been possessed. Jewish women who were thought to be Dybbuk possessed would not have fared any better in Christian society because they would have been labeled as witches. It is no accident that the church burned to the death between 300,000 and 1 million men and women who were sentenced for witchcraft between the 16th and 18th centuries when the terror of Dybbuks was at its peak. The period between the Renaissance and the Enlightenment, which we now refer to as the dawn of modernity, which when superstition was most prevalent. A Dybbuk had to be exorcised from the body it had taken up residence in and brought back to the realm of the dead. A little portion of the cosmic order would be partially restored in this manner. A Dybbuk can be exorcised in as many different methods as there are stories about them. An exorcism's main objectives are to free the possessed person's body and stop the Dybbuk's wanderings. Most often, an Orthodox male is required to carry out the exorcism. An angel or a benevolent spirit may occasionally help him. According to some legends, the rite must be carried out in a synagogue or in front of a minyan, which is a gathering of 10 Jewish adults who are typically entirely male. They would all dress in the white burial shrouds that are used to bury a body, encircle themselves in prayer shawls, and bind their arms and heads with the holy parchments used in daily prayer. Interviewing the Dybbuk is frequently the initial stage in exorcism. Finding out why the spirit hasn't left is the goal here. The person performing the ceremony will use this information to persuade the Dybbuk to go. Finding the name of the Dybbuk is particularly crucial, since according to Jewish legend, one can command an otherworldly being by using its name. Dybbuks are frequently depicted as being happy to vent to anyone who will listen. Following the interview, the procedures for exorcising a Dybbuk differ significantly between stories. In one instance, the exorcist might be holding a white candle and an empty flask. The spirit will then be ordered to reveal its name with the help of a formulaic adjuration if it hasn't already. The Dybbuk is ordered to leave the host and fill the flask by a second adjuration, which causes the flask to glow red. And that's all for Dybbuk from our end. Let us know how you felt about this creature and what would be your reaction if you came across one. Also, if you enjoyed watching this video, make sure to smash the like and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay mythically mad.